Welcome to Tellypathic, your visit to the world of episodic telly with a strong backbone of Star Trek. We're your two hosts who are mad about telly, Mark and Gary. Hi, Gary.
Hey Mark, how's it going?
Not bad. It's been a while since we last recorded, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And we've been on the X-Files train, haven't we? We've been on
we
the
have.
X-Files train.
Yeah, it's been awesome.
We're back to Star Trek. It was my choice. I dragged us back to Star Trek. And this is original series, season 2, episode 1, Amok Time. My personal favourite episode of Star Trek.
Really? Your favorite
Yes.
episode of all time?
Of all the Star Treks. Of
Oh
all
wow.
all the multiverse is this one. This one. Yes, I really like this episode. I'm a big fan of it. In fact, on the good, the bad, the odd, the main feed, I recorded a commentary track on this one with my two sons, and one of them was only like 12 at the time.
Oh really?
He's 26
Wicked.
now, right?
A few years ago.
Yeah, so it was a
Yeah.
while ago. And we actually, in the end, we did actually record. We've only ever done 3 commentary tracks on the main podcast, right? And 2 of them were Star Trek. One of them was this. The other one was Space Seed, right?
Right. Yeah.
And then we also did Dalek, Doctor Who episode Dalek,
Ooh.
the Christopher
Ooh,
Eccleston
it's a
one.
good one. That's a
Yeah,
good
yeah.
one.
So that is it's something we rarely do, but they are fun and they're quite. I believe they're quite entertaining to listen to, but we just don't do them because we're often not in the same room. And with a commentary, you got to be sitting together, really, watching it and
Yeah.
have a mic set up and stuff like that, right?
Super cool.
So it's a bit inconvenient, really, especially when we're not recording the same. Most podcasts don't record in the same place. It's often in 2 different places like us, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So about time. This one is written by Theodore Sturgeon, the quite famous sci-fi author. Did a lot of short stories as well. He only ever did 2 episodes of Star Trek original series, Amok Time and one called Shore Leave, that goofy one. You know the one? Shore Leave, where they end up on a planet, they don't know what's going on. They see a white rabbit.
The White Rabbit episode.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
all
That's
that.
wicked. I like that
Yeah. No,
episode.
it's a good episode, but
Yeah, yeah.
it's the goofy end of the
It's a goofy
spectrum.
one. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But it's
yeah.
great. I enjoy
Um,
that one.
this one, get this. This one aired first time September the 15th, 1967. We are recording on the 7th of September 2025. So this
Yeah.
puts this at 50, just under 58 years ago. This first aired. Yeah, how about that?
Crikey. So how
Uh,
old were you then? Were you like
Shush, shush.
40
No.
something?
No, I was 2. Shut up. So yeah. But I was around. I was around. I don't know when it aired on the BBC. Probably a few years after that, I imagine. But yeah. So
Yeah. Right.
this episode's iconic in a number of ways. Not just the content. Start of season 2.
Mhm.
Um. I forgot
What
his
was
name.
what was the gap between season 1 and 2?
I have absolutely no idea. Probably 9 months or something like that.
Because I
Oh no,
imagine
no, it was
people would
probably
be,
short because there was it's probably half a year. Half a year, I'd say,
yeah. Because I
because they
imagine
use a
people would be
yearly.
waiting, right? They'll be waiting for it.
Yeah, yeah, and it was super popular. Spock in particular was a very popular character.
Yeah.
But in this one introduced Chekhov. Um, they wanted a new face on the deck, and they brought in Chekhov. And old Jane Roddenberry claimed it was like, oh, we want to show that Russians are part of the future too, and all this. But the truth is, they were competing with the monkeys and stuff like that, and they wanted an actor who looked a bit like one of the monkeys. And Walter Koenig looks a bit like Davy Jones, and
Right.
that's
Yeah.
the truth of
Okay.
it. And also because he didn't have the right kind of hair. He was wearing, I mean, you probably noticed, I don't know, he was wearing a wig in this one. But in about 3 or 4 episodes' time, it's his own hair. His hair's grown out a bit. Um,
Right.
so it kind of works more. So there's
Interesting.
that. I also believe, I could be wrong, but I also believe there was some new credits, and this was the first time we had the stuff. It was all
Oh,
orchestral in
really?
season 1. I believe that's right. I meant to
Oh,
go back
okay.
and check, but I forgot. And also, old McCoy. Oh, what's the actor that plays McCoy? I've forgotten. Oh, what's his name? Leonard
DeForest Kelly.
DeForest Kelly, yes, DeForest Kelly. Also is one in the main credits. He wasn't before. It was only um, um, Shatner and Nimoy were in the main credits.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
So
They
there is that.
introduced that in season 2.
In addition, this is the one and only time in the original series we see Vulcan. So
Really?
there is that. Yes, yes, that's
Interesting. I know they comment on it like they haven't been here before in the
yes.
episode, but yeah, that's really interesting.
No, not so. Now, when I watch, just so you know, I don't know what. I presume you watched streaming version. I have actually got the Blu-ray, which has the new updated effects and stuff like that. So there was
Yeah.
some different stuff around when they first, there's a pan out, and you kind of see a much bigger vista, I think, than you did
Yes.
in the
Yeah.
original.
So yeah, I'm watching the Netflix version, which to any listeners, if you're listening, it's currently on Netflix, at least in the UK.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I was like immediate, like all of the they did remastered like the ship outside shots of the ship. Some like the in this episode there was
Oh,
like
you saw it.
vistas,
Yeah, yeah.
but
Oh,
like
okay.
the
Yeah, I
other
did.
thing that you mentioned about like the song and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know what they've messed with in that remaster. So I don't know if that's always been they just locked that in for season 1 as well. So I don't know if that's still true,
You
if
know
that
what?
makes
I've
sense for
got
the
the box
remaster,
set.
but
I might go and have a look, but
yeah.
I've got a distinct memory that the singing wasn't until season 2 and 3, right? Season two
Yeah.
was when it started.
Don't know.
Also,
Iconic though, isn't it? It's iconic.
there's a few other firsts. Vulcan, first time we see the Vulcan salute, the iconic Vulcan salute, which I've read books on this. I've read both autobiographies by Shatner and Nimoy, and apparently this the gesture he got from like a Jewish ritual he witnessed as a boy, um,
Oh.
or at the temple, and he was copying basically a Jewish sort of hand gesture that was part of one of the celebrations or whatever. I'm not quite sure, but yeah. So yeah, really
Interesting.
interesting
Mm.
stuff. And I think it's also the first mention of Pomfar as well. So yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, there's a lot of Vulcan stuff introduced in this that's become canon, right? It's become
Yeah.
canon. So yeah. Um, okay. So, um, where does this rate for you? This episode?
It's a middling episode for me, honestly.
Really, really? Okay, okay.
It's we can talk about it as we go through, but yeah, it's a good episode. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's not one of my favorites, I wouldn't say.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. Fair enough. So, it starts with Spock being a bit crazy, right? And basically, Kirk and McCoy are walking down the corridor, and McCoy's saying, Spock's not his usual self. There's something up. And
He's
Kirk's
not
like,
eating.
yeah, he hasn't
He's
eaten for
not
3 days.
he
And
threatened to break my neck. He's like, what does he
yeah,
say? He says your unemotional cyborg first officer has just threatened to break my neck or something like that.
yeah, and
Yeah.
Kirk's like, oh, it just sounds like Spock on one of his he's got something on his mind, so it's fine. But then Nurse Chapel Soup comes flying out the door,
Yeah.
right? She
What
takes
is
him,
this? Yeah.
yeah, she's taking him some Vulcan soup that she's made because she noticed he hasn't been eating, and
He throws it in her
Kirk and
face.
Spock
Yeah.
sort of are talking to her. And I think doesn't one of them say something like "keep trying Nurse Chapel" or something like that? I don't know, something like that. Anyway, yeah, he throws it out, and it's all over the wall. There's this like weird purple soup all over the wall. She runs out screaming, and I did like there was a nice bit of continuity. I don't know if you noticed it, but when um, Kurt comes back into his room to talk to him after this scene, when the door opens, you can still see the soup on the wall behind
Oh,
him.
really? I didn't
Yeah,
notice.
yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah, no, you think they'd
Nice
in
work.
this environment they'd clean that up straight away, but yeah, no, it's still
Yeah, it's
there.
a sort of robot or something, which just hoover it up.
Yeah, so Kirk wants to know what's going on, and Spock saying, I can't really talk about this. This is
I
deeply
refuse. Yeah,
personal."
he
He
flat refuses.
refuses.
He is as a captain. I'll take it to my
Yeah,
grave. Yeah.
he does request leave, and he's saying, "You can't give me a reason, Spock." Spock, no, I can't. He goes, "Well, if you haven't got to, Alto 5, we're going to Alto, we're at Alto 5. They got perfectly good shore leave facilities. You can have your leave there. And he's saying, no, no, no.
It has to be
uh,
Vulcan.
oh, no,
Yeah,
it's
he
not Alto
specifically
5. He says another place. Oh, no, it is Alto 5. Alto
six,
6,
Altair 6.
which is
Yeah.
also where they're going because they got some big. The federations have recruited someone and it's kind of important and stuff like that. That's
Well,
what,
that's right. The
yeah.
Federation wants a show of like diplomatic faith, right? To say,
Yeah.
look, we want our flagship or not. I don't
One of our,
think in
he
this.
says there's three, right? There's three
Yeah,
ships. Yeah.
yeah. Kirk notes that, well, there's three other ships. We'll just be one of those, but they
Yeah.
want us to be there.
But the
And that
Enterprise tends to be the flagship, doesn't it? I don't know.
usually,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm not sure if it is in
Sometimes,
this, but
sometimes it's presented
yeah,
like that.
I think
Sometimes
it
it
is.
isn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in a lot of episodes, it's just one ship of many, right? But yeah, yeah,
Yes. But
um,
yeah, the admiral basically calls and says this is really important.
yeah, yeah,
I need you there,
yeah.
which
And
becomes important later on. Yeah.
Chekhov is like, because like Chekhov says, and Kirk has a think about it. He says, you know what? I think he basically says, Chekhov, plot a course to Vulcan, and go to the high warp factor, and tell me if we can still get to Altair in time if we do all that. And Chekhov's like, I don't understand, Captain. Mr. Spock has always already altered the course change to Vulcan, and
Hmm.
Kirk's like, and he goes and talks to Spock, who doesn't deny it, but he says, I have no memory of doing it, but it's possible that I did. You
Yeah.
know, I don't deny that I could have done that. And has no memory of it. So, yeah, so Kirk orders Spock for a sort of checkup, and McCoy going, well, his metabolism's gone mental. And essentially, it's like, if we don't get him to Vulcan soon, he's going to die. So Kirk then asks the Admiralty again, could he, be slightly delayed uh, because there's a really important reason, but he won't tell them why. And they're like, no, if you can't tell me, you got to stay to it. And then Kirk's like, we're going to Vulcan. And McCoy's like,
Hmm.
but your career, he goes, Spock has saved my life a dozen times. What else can I do? I have
Yeah.
to. I have to do what I have to do, sort of thing. So they do divert to Vulcan against Admiralty orders. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah. So about half that takes up about half the episode. So it's pretty interesting, and we're kind of seeing
Yeah.
things as well. And there's also a scene. There's some really interesting. There's a scene in Spock's quarters where Nurse Chapel comes in to see him, and he's just lying down. And he's kind of quite kind to her after what he did before. And he goes, could you make me some of that soup, please? And she's like, oh, yes. She definitely wants a bit of vitamin Spock.
Oh God. I mean, yeah, it is. It is one of those scenes where they like play with the idea of like women being interested in Spock, right? It comes up a few
Yeah.
times.
Yeah, yeah.
And
It
it's
does in
actually,
shore leave too. Interesting.
yeah, that's right, yeah. And I one of the complaints I have heard about Strange New Worlds, and again, I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
So I've seen a few odd episodes, but I've not seen it yet fully. Is that there's loads of like Spock romance going on in the show. I've not seen it, so I can't attest to it, but
Yeah.
I think that's
Well, I have
interesting.
seen it,
Like
but I
the
don't want to spoil it, so I'm not going to say.
yeah, yeah. I think it's interesting that obviously it's hinted at in TOS, but it's
Yeah.
not really overt. Um, but yeah, they sort of run with that obviously in New Trek, which is interesting, whether
Yeah.
for good or worse. But yeah, it's a good scene. It's interesting because you kind of see a side of Spock that we don't see. You just
Yeah,
don't see it at
and
all.
I mean, the character's well established enough. We can go off on these tangents. You couldn't do a show like an episode like this successfully if it was like the second or third one of season one, right? You need to,
Yeah, I
the
must say,
character needs fully bedding in
yeah,
to
agreed.
explore it.
It's a bold move for episode one of season two to sort of open that door straight away. Usually you have like an actiony episode or some sort of, hard hitting episode, but this one's kind of not, right? It's very character focused and it's why it's a good episode,
I
but
gotta be honest. I think
interesting.
I can remember when I was a kid, right?
Mm,
When Star Trek was being, it used to be on BBC Two at like 6 o'clock in the evening, right? Um, I do remember seeing a trailer which was basically in tonight's episode.
The fight
Kirk
at
and
the end.
Spock fight to the death.
Yeah, the fight at the end, right? That's
Yeah,
how they're going to market it for
yeah. So
sure. Yeah.
they must have loved this on American TV. That kind of and the press probably air out too, right? I
Oh
imagine it
yeah. I mean,
got
it's got to be
loads of viewing, right?
workplace banter, right? Of like, who do you reckon would win in a fight, Spock or Kirk, right? I'm sure people talked about that
Yeah,
till
yeah.
the cows came home.
Apparently, this is. I believe this episode is also kind of central in erotic fan fiction as well.
What? Sorry,
Well,
can you
you
attest
know,
your sources to that, Mark? How do you know?
no, I just heard. I've
Are
just
you
heard.
writing? Are you writing?
No, I did read it somewhere. I'm just
Oh, did you?
honestly now. I'm desperately trying to find it now. That's you. That's you days. That's
Clicking,
you days.
clicking.
Yeah, no, can't be asked.
No,
So,
sorry.
yeah, so they eventually get to the planet, and we see Vulcan, which is basically Mars, right? It's like a
Yeah.
breathable air Mars, isn't it? Vulcan, hot, dry,
That's what
red
Bones.
sky.
That's what McCoy says. He says, "I finally know what they mean when people say as hot as Vulcan."
Yes,
Yeah, they're
yes,
both sweating.
yeah.
Um,
So yeah, and then also see the more ritualistic and probably harking back to the past side of Vulcan with this ritual, these strange rituals they have, like of blokes dressed up in kind of medieval looking outfits with big
Colored
axe
sash.
sword things, sashes, rattling bells, banging gongs,
Yeah.
and all of that, right?
Hmm.
Um, and we meet the sort of matriarch of Vulcan Society, to Pring, right? Sorry, to Pow. Sorry,
To
to
pow.
Pow. To Pow. Which sets up a kind of precedent. If you know, I don't know if you notice this, but often Spot and Vulcan males begin with the letter S, and Vulcan females begin with the letter T. That isn't entirely true. There's variants on that.
All right.
There's Sarvik, for example, the female Vulcan in the um in what's it 2 and 3, right?
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
movies, but that tends to be the thing. T'Pau. Also, if you know the word T'Pau, it's because there's a band T'Pau. They're fans of Star Trek, and they called themselves T'Pau.
All right.
Right?
And
Yeah.
obviously, this is the same to Powell who's in Star Trek Enterprise.
Uh, I imagine so. I haven't seen
Yeah.
Enterprise, but
You've
I
not seen
imagine so.
Enterprise?
Well, I've only seen the pilot. I've never
Oh,
seen
brother. I
the
mean,
rest
you're
of
not
them.
missing much, to be honest. But yeah, it's Star Trek.
Oh,
You got to
I
see it,
do
right?
want to watch it. I am working through
Yeah.
Star. I'm working through all of Star Trek. I'm on Deep Space Nine season 6 now, and it's really kicked off.
Oh, yeah.
But I've got Voyager before I get to Enterprise, so we'll see.
Yeah, yeah. No, yeah,
So I've
cool.
got quite a lot of Star Trek still to get through, frankly.
Hmm.
Um, so T'Pau is a bit annoyed that he's bought Outworlders, Offworlders.
Uh, oh, I don't know about that.
She's commenting sharply about it. You bring off-worlders to our sacred ceremonies, but
Uh,
Spock's like, it's my right. It's logical, isn't he? It's my right.
yeah, and I think she is too.
Yeah,
I think that's the thing about it. It comes across as, like you say, arsey, but I don't think it is. It's just a hard question, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and he answers it logically, and she
It's his
accepts the
right.
answer
Yeah,
logically. Like I thought it was a good character moment of, like you say, like she's not being racist or anything, is she? She's just
yeah,
asking the question. That is peculiar.
yeah.
Are,
It's very
are you
odd.
sure? And he's like, yeah, it's good. I thought it was really good writing.
Yeah, it
Actually,
was strong. I
they
think
don't seem human.
the whole thing was really well written. I'm
Yeah,
like I say, I was kind of surprised that Theodore Sturgeon only done two because it feels like he really gets Star Trek.
right.
What he
Yeah,
adds to
yeah.
it, he really understands it. So I don't know if he was a fan and watched the entire first season and then wrote, but I don't know. But he feels like it doesn't feel like he's a writer that's done a job, and it's kind of fits. It fits perfectly to
Yeah.
everything to me anyway.
Yeah, I'll
Um,
talk later about it as well. Like, there's a few other things that I really liked, especially in the dialogue that I think he did a really good job with. But yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Um, there is also a shock moment, probably another kind of trailer moment almost, or pre-ad break moment where we see a picture of T'Pring who sort of welcomes Spock, on the vid screen on the ship, and and old Uhura says she's lovely. Who is she? And Spock's like, my wife. It's-
Yeah.
and I think Nurse Chapel's there, looking like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, she goes, there's the comic gasp. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And we do then meet T'Pring, who's got some sketchy looking fella with her, right?
Well,
Um,
an entourage of dudes
yeah,
with a
yeah. So, but
yeah.
Spock's in the blood fever, right? He's kind of just trying to stay like he can talk, but it's
Yeah.
like it's very you. Nimoy does it well. He kind of presents this is a he just lowers his head a bit, so his brow is almost covering his eyes.
Hmm.
That's how he kind of does it, right?
Yeah, he kind
Um,
of goes into Gollum mode a bit with it, you know.
yeah, and they kind of start this ceremony where it's like the pre-marriage kind of setup, but the T'Pring stops it.
Yeah,
Is it called Caliphie? Caliphie.
that's right. Caliphie, yeah.
He asked for a Caliphie, which is a challenge between and there's some mention that in the past Vulcans fought for the death over in this.
Ah, no, they avoid the words to the death, right? They
Oh, they
fought.
do. They do.
Yeah,
They
they fought.
fought.
Yeah, they fought. They used to fight for their marriages or the hands
Yeah.
of women in the
Yeah, which is
past.
a bit
Yeah,
odd, right? But this is the one time their emotions overwhelm them, right? Or
yeah.
one of the few times that
And it's
happens.
kind of good because again, we're seeing it from Kirk and McCoy's perspective, i.e., we know nothing, and Spock is too deteriorated to explain it to anyone.
Yeah.
So we're getting all of the information we learn about the ritual is from T'Pau and the other Vulcans at the place, who assume everybody knows what's going on.
Yeah, they do. Because, I mean, Spock, even under his full duress, he manages to articulate to power. He says he doesn't understand what he's getting into.
Oh well, yeah,
Please.
yeah. Obviously, the main thing is one of the challenge happens. She gets to choose. To Pring chooses her champion, and you think, oh, she's going to choose that sketchy guy she's with, but she
Yeah,
chooses Kirk.
yeah, she
Yeah,
does. And it's like, whoa.
and
And
Kirk's like, I'll fight Spock, no big deal.
well,
I'll just pretend
no,
to lose,
no,
right?
T'Pau actually says, yes, you are not bound by our ways, Kirk. You can withdraw, and we will pick another champion if
Yeah.
that's so. And then the sketchy bloke steps in and says, it's my right. And it's like silence, you know.
Hmm.
I think they said basically threatening him with death if he keeps talking or something like that. It's kind of pretty
Yeah,
strong.
yeah, it's very brutal. Yeah,
um, so Kirk's like, well, I could just throw the fight. It'll be all over, easy,
yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Um, but then only after he's accepted do they find out it's to the death, right? Oh
Yeah,
shit!
there's a great gulp moment when
Yeah,
when T'Pau's like he gets given these like massive axes come out. They're like,
yeah.
right,
They're called
the challenge
lurper.
has been
They're cotton
accepted.
buds. They're like
Yeah.
gladiator. You know what they use in gladiators, but one end's kind of almost like a pendulum head, isn't it? And the other end's a
Yeah,
massive
like a
mace
mallet.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
So and they're called lurper. They look lethal.
Yeah. And
And
Shatner's face is amazing when they're handing out the axes and
he
he
could
gets
barely pick it up.
yeah, there's a really good moment when Spock gets given his massive axe and he just grabs it. And
Yeah,
then when Kirk gets given it, he can barely hold it. It sort of drags him down.
yeah, it's really epic.
He's looking at T'Pau like, what do you mean if any one of us survives? And she turns to him, this fight is to the death. And then she just walks off.
Yeah, she
And he's
don't.
like, oh,
Oh, these are badasses. There is some comments early on where they're talking about the heat and the thin air of the air's.
Vulcan.
The oxygen's there's less oxygen in the air in Vulcan
Yeah, and
than
it's really hot.
Earth, right? And it's
Yeah,
really hot and dry.
I don't know how they did that, but they did a really good. They did it really well. Like where Kirk and McCoy are like sweating and are like
Yeah,
really uncomfortable, but Spock and the other Vulcans are all not.
all fine, all
That's a
fine.
really nice touch, like back
Yeah,
then to do that
yeah.
sort of continuity. I thought it
Well,
was wicked.
yeah, and we're watching this in HD. I was watching it in HD on a massive telly, and I couldn't see any flaws in that at
Yeah,
all.
Yeah,
It
they
looked
did a really good
perfectly
job.
correct. I think because it's filmed, they made sure it looked good. Because
Yeah,
film can be blown up to be really big, can't it?
right.
Whereas videotape is video, it's grainy and poor,
Hmm.
isn't it? So they fight with the Lurpers, which look absolutely lethal. Kirk's having real trouble, and McCoy intervenes. Good. This when we're humans, we're not used to this atmosphere. Um, and I should have mentioned, I think T'Pau makes reference to Spock being half human. Are you human or are you Vulcan? Or something like that, doesn't she?
That's big when Spock says I can't. He tries to fight through his blood thing to say, "Look, I can't fight. I'll do anything you want, but I'm not going to fight him."
Yeah.
And then she says, "I've heard that you're not fully Vulcan. Are you Vulcan or are you human?" And then he says, "I am. I burn. My blood burns. My
Yeah.
heart burns. I am Vulcan."
Well, yeah, that is great. That is, I mean,
Yeah,
that's what I mean by understanding the show, right?
yeah.
It's that will trigger Spot anything because he wants to be Vulcan
More
for
than
a thing.
anything, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And I'm going to talk about that a bit later as well. That sort of
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah. Of
Um,
course.
So, yeah, essentially the fight happens, and they get through it. And McCoy, but basically, there's a pause in the fight while they're changing weapons, and McCoy's like, "Look, this isn't fair. We humans, we're not used to this. Can I give him like a triox compound, so it's a more fair fight?" And T'Pau allows it. So he
Yeah, it's
injects
just
him.
great. She's great because he's like, it's not fair. Like, we got to give him a chance. And she's like, he's like, the air's too thin. She says, the air is the air. Like, what could be done? She's written him off. She's like, this fight's happening.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
nothing's going to get in the way. I've got something that can compensate.
yeah.
Just make
To make
it,
it
give him a
fair.
chance. And then she's like, okay, I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
Sneaky.
And then they get to fight with a much less lethal weapon.
Oh man,
It's a
yeah.
I don't know what it is, a weight on a like
It's
a
like a
rope.
bolas. It's like a
Yeah,
bolas, isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah. Weight.
Yeah,
I mean, the Lurper will
two
kill
bolas.
a man straight away, but that isn't going to kill anyone straight
Yeah.
away. It needs a bit of work, which Spock does put in, and they're kind of swinging around and hitting each other. Kirk does get a slash across the chest in the first part of the fight, doesn't he?
Hmm.
So there is that, and then basically it looks like Spock's strangling him. There's stuff over a fire pit, and it's all going off, and basically Kirk appears to pass out and appears to be dead. Um,
Yeah.
but it looks like he's been strangled. Uh, McCoy inspects him and says he's dead, and can we transport up?
No, he
Uh,
doesn't ask. He just says, he sort of looks at everybody. He's like, he's dead. You know, are you happy? Are you happy now? And he just calls the Enterprise, and they
he's a
transport him up.
badass, is
He,
McCoy.
yeah, yeah. McCoy just does it. Yeah, he doesn't give a shit.
Yeah. So Spock has kind of completely recovered after this. The shock of what he's done has removed the blood fever, basically.
Hmm.
And then we
Yeah.
get a marvelous speech, very short, punchy, but where he asks to Pring why she did this, and she explains, Kirk doesn't want me, so if he won, you'd I'd have your stuff. You'd be dead. If
Well, no,
you won,
she's saying I want this other guy. I can't remember, Strom or something like that.
yeah, she wants him.
And so
Uh,
if Kirk wins, he doesn't want me, so I'll get Strom. If you win, you wouldn't want me because I challenged, and I'll get Strom. Um, and if you keep me, I'll keep all your stuff. You'll go off to space, and I'll still have Strom. So there's no way that I don't get what I want through challenging.
yeah.
Yeah,
So he's like logical, very logical. Um,
yeah, piece of
and then,
work,
and
man.
then he looks at Strom and says, having a thing is not as pleasing as wanting a thing sometimes. It's
Yeah,
basically, you have her, mate. You have her.
yeah,
And yeah, I want to talk about this because this is showing Vulcans to be shitheels or possibly shitheels, right? Which we're not used to. Or if, as a viewer, you wouldn't be used to. You'd only have ever seen Spock, really, right?
yeah.
So you think all Vulcans will be like Spock, but it turns out Spock's more Vulcan than a lot of Vulcans, if you know what I mean. He tries to be the best of the Vulcans, doesn't he? Where and we this is borne out if you keep watching all the Star Trek. There's some other Vulcans that are like Spock, but there's also some that are shitheels, right? And are up to all sorts of stuff. Um,
Yeah.
and it's kind of interesting that it's almost like, do you know, when people live overseas, sort of when British people go over and live overseas,
Right, where's this going?
they become more British, don't they? They insist on. Do you know what I
Oh,
mean? Do you know
I
what
hear
I
what you're
mean?
saying. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
it's that kind of thing. It's kind of okay, and you know, I have to. I want to prove to everyone all the time I am the this and Spock's a
This
bit
is
like
my
I feel
identity.
like
Yeah.
yeah I feel like there's a bit of that and to me Spock feels like the best of Vulcans you know
Mm.
and he is revered on Vulcan, isn't he, as he gets older, in Star
Oh,
Trek
yeah.
it's
We missed
a
that
revered
from
character.
T'Pring actually, because he says to her, "Why? Right? We've been bound from birth or whatever. Why do you prefer Strom over me?" And she says, "Well, you have become a legend,
Yes,
and as I have grown up, I have sort of learned to not want to be married to a legend."
yeah,
And
so it's
uh,
already started his legend,
he's already
his
known.
status,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's right.
um he's well known throughout, as like the number one first officer, supreme first officer. So yeah, there is that too. Again, brilliant bit of writing. It's like, did all of that come about from this, or was it just happening and this picked up on it? It's kind of interesting. We don't know, do we? We don't know because.
No, can only
But
speculate.
yeah, it's really
Yeah.
interesting. I find, and I really like actually T'Pau as well. She's stern, but she doesn't mess about. Apparently, that actress has a real trouble with doing the hand gesture,
Oh, really?
and they had to tape her fingers to get it. And I
No.
watched really carefully, and I couldn't see the taping.
Uh,
I had a good look at that, but yeah, I really liked her. I thought she was good. Quite a famous actress back in the day, I believe, from I think Russia, or something like that.
hmm,
But yeah, so yeah, they were pleased to get her for this. I know
right.
that. So yeah, and then when he says goodbye, he does the hand gesture, and she says, "Live long and prosper." Do you want to repeat what he says back?
Yeah, he says, "I will do neither. I have killed my captain and my friend."
Yeah,
And then he just walks away.
yeah. There's a lot of as one of the themes of this is friendship, isn't it? The strength of friendship, because
Yeah.
Kirk's basically risking his entire career to help Spock
And
or
then
to
gives his
save
life,
Spock,
right?
and
Yeah.
then apparently gives his life.
Yeah.
So yeah, so when he gets back, Spock's all business. He says, "Look, I am want to turn myself over
Oh
to the
wait,
gods."
no. There's a good bit though, because McCoy, right, is there and he says to Spock, he's like, "As bizarre as it may be, you're in command now. What are
Yeah,
your orders?" Right?
yeah,
And he's like, "Yeah, let's beam us all up. We are yeah, I am to be detained when I arrive on the
yeah.
ship."
Mr.
Yeah.
Scott will, Mr. Scott will become captain, yeah,
Yeah.
and stuff like that, right? I
Yeah, it's
love it
good.
when Scotty gets in charge of the bridge. Actually, I have to say that.
Phaser banks are
We didn't see
charged.
Scotty in this, but he's like
No,
nothing.
yeah.
There's no
Absolutely.
better diplomacy than a fully charged phaser bank.
Yeah.
That's Scotty's attitude. Um, but yeah, but then Shatner turns up, and he's all right. He wasn't given trioxin; he was given a Mickey, and not deliberately to a feigned death. So
Yeah.
to bring an end to this, which I don't know what that will do to future relationship with T'Pau, to be honest. If she mentions that, but it doesn't matter. He's alive.
Yeah.
This Spock actually smiles, goes, "Jim," and he's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Oh, I am pleased you are well, Captain." And
Hmm.
I think Kirk says, "Are we about to see a moment of joy and happiness there, Spock?" He goes, "No, I'm just relieved. A good captain has not been lost for the Federation." And as they walk out, McCoy's like, in a pig's ear.
Yeah, pig's eye.
Pig's
Yeah,
eye in a pig's eye.
yeah, yeah.
Yes. End of episode. What I think this is a great episode. I always enjoy watching this one. I was really looking forward to watching it again. And like I say, it's my favourite of all the Star Trek. This is the one I enjoy the most. I think.
Interesting. Can you articulate why? Because I
I think
know
it's
that
a
you
really
like your
strong episode, focusing on both Kirk and Spock, but it shows
right.
slightly different sides of it. But it is about friendship,
Yeah.
and how strong there is. And it's always interesting that Kirk and Spock is like really strong sort of element of Star Trek, isn't it? And
Oh yeah.
McCoy, but the thing is also McCoy when he comes in, and people have like psychologists have argued, yeah, this Kirk is. Spock is really the rational side of Kirk, and McCoy's the emotional side of Kirk. So they both feed into Kirk, and
Right.
form his character, which is kind of an interesting point of view. But and one way of looking at it. But I just like. I think it's an exciting episode. I've liked it since I first saw it. I wouldn't say it was my favourite since I first saw it. It's there. I've come to that,
Right.
I've come to that.
Yeah.
But I've always enjoyed it, and I think it's a really exciting, fun episode. I like the musical cues, the sound cues, the whole ritualistic thing on Vulcan. Half the episodes on Vulcan, right? In
Yep.
that sort of weird set, that's kind of Stonehenge kind of set.
A
Well, a
kind of
bit smaller than that.
arena kind of thing, isn't it?
Arena kind of set, yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, I've always enjoyed this. Funny enough, the other episode I've always enjoyed is Arena. Talking of which,
Oh, classic.
I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
there's lots of episodes I like, but
Hmm.
they just stand up. Yeah, so yeah, I can't say more than that. It's just I find a deep joy in watching it. But
Well, there you
I'm
go.
an original
Yeah.
series guy. My favourite Star Trek's original series. I like
Yeah, yeah.
Next Gen. I like some of Deep Space Nine. I don't like it as much as Next Gen, but the original series. I pretty much can watch any episode of the original series and be happy, even the crappy ones.
Yeah.
Um, I just enjoy. But having said that, I can say the same about Next Gen. Even the crappy episodes of Next Gen, I enjoy. Apart from there's one that I particularly hate, which is basically a
Code of
highlight.
Honor.
No, no, I can even watch that. No, the one I hate is called Shades of Grey. It's basically a high. They ran out of money and they constructed a highlights from the run so far kind of episode. It's
Oh, right.
awful. It's absolutely awful.
Oh, we'll do
Um,
that episode next.
uh, um, so, but this I just love it. I just like the original series. I find them mid 60s show really colourful shows like Star Trek, like the Monkeys, even like the original Avengers. They just feel really fun, and
Yeah.
I think they're the sort of show that's good for your mental health. They just make you feel good after seeing them, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree. I definitely agree with that. I
Yeah,
think
there's no moodiness. It's all there, and you understand the characters are really well drawn and usually well written, and stuff like that.
yeah, I think what I really liked about this episode, I think, yeah, the way that they showed the Vulcan culture was really good, and we saw new things that you hadn't seen before. I liked everybody's character felt right. Um, the introduction of Chekhov's kind of seamless.
It
There's a
is. It's
there's a
just there,
lovely
right? They
yeah,
don't
there's a
make a thing
lovely
of it.
moment.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's a great moment with Sulu uh, on the con, and he's with Chekhov, and he's like, Chekhov's like, surely they're not going to make me plot another course back to Vulcan. Because they keep going back to Altair 6 to Vulcan to Altair 6, and they show the two of them at the con, and he's like, there's no way. You don't think? And he's like, well, you know what? I just plot the course just in case. And then obviously they get the call and they look at each other, and then it's, yeah, can you go back to Vulcan, please?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's really
yeah.
good.
Well, there's one point. Kirk says plot calls back to Vulcan, and Chekhov's like already done, sir. And
Yes, that's right. Yeah, yeah,
Kurt's like, I see.
yeah. Hmm. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice.
Um,
Yeah, I think the three. There was that lovely moment where, in his like sort of, he's not delirious, right? But he's off, Spock's in the turbo lift and he's saying, I'm allowed to bring two people to witness the ceremony, and I'll choose to bring my closest friends. And of course, I'll bring you, Captain. And
Mm.
then the turbo lift goes for a little bit, and then, and you as well, Doctor. And that's just a nice moment of like, there's a lot of banter and back and forth between Spock and
Grumpiness.
McCoy,
Yeah,
and it it is banter, but then sometimes they do disagree quite strongly on things.
yeah,
And it was a nice moment to just secure to the audience and to everyone that Spock sees him as a close friend, and likewise McCoy is like, yeah, of course it'd be an honor, man. Like that really solidifies the three of them, I think, as a unit.
yeah. I
So I
really
really like that.
I like McCoy's response. It was, "I'd be honoured to," or "I'd be."
Yeah,
Honoured. I can't remember the exact words, but he's basically takes it completely seriously. There's no banter. There's no flippant remark. It's like, "Yes, I'd be honoured," which
yeah,
is
yeah.
lovely,
He's great.
lovely. Um, I was looking at some of the comments for this episode. I think they're more with you than me. No one's really saying it's the best episode of Star Trek, so I think I'm alone here. But I
That's
don't
okay.
care.
Like you said, it brings you deep joy. I mean, you can't beat
Yeah,
anything that
yeah.
does that. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
So, for example, here on the franchise's 30th anniversary, TV Guide ranked it as the second and of the 10 best Star Trek episodes. I'm going to guess City on the Edge of Forever is probably the number one because that tends to be the number one on most lists, right?
right.
It's a great episode. Why not, right?
Hmm.
And then various others, it's either in a top 10 or it's ranked reasonably high, but not necessarily first or second. Off of the top 10, or it's 10th. There's a few here where it's the 28th best ever episode of Star Trek throughout the entire franchise, which ain't bad, as a ranking. But yeah,
Hmm. Yeah,
and a
it's
lot,
good.
a lot of the comments mention this is a very good Spock episode, or it's if you're going to watch a Spock centric episodes, this is essential. That's all, and it is, isn't it? This is an essential one if you want to understand your Spock, I'd say.
Yeah, I think so. I think that it does handle. I think yeah, they handle it well. I think it's good sci-fi. I think it really shows that the Vulcans, although they look just like us, they ain't us.
Yeah,
And they do a really good job of showing that
yeah,
through dialogue, actions, the way they look, and like you say, these rituals that we really don't understand.
mm,
They really show them to be alien in a clever way, right? They don't try and throw it in your face. It's just through the way
yeah.
they interact with each other. Like you say, they seem like shitheels, right? That she's like completely like, I'm just willing to let this random man die so I can, she doesn't care, right? She just says
Doesn't
that this is to
care.
Pring, right? She just throws essentially Kirk under the bus because there's no way a human's going to beat a Vulcan in single combat
Yeah,
on Vulcan on top of all of that. Um, but uh, it's all logical.
yeah,
To us it would be like, yeah, she's an asshole, but to the Vulcans that's just normal behavior. So
yeah.
I love that. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, there's also I think this is the first time we get the what is now famous Star Trek music. Dun, 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 dun,
Oh
dun,
yeah,
dun,
yeah.
dun.
I
I think
always
this is the first
assume
use of that.
I always get that wrong because I always that music plays in my head when he's fighting the Gorn, but they don't play that music when he's fighting the Gorn, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That music's from this episode.
Oh, I
Um,
just found something on Wikipedia that vindicates me, Gary. Which
Go
is
on.
it says here under legacy of this episode, the Omegaverse genre of speculative erotic fiction is noted as having been influenced by the episode.
Of
There you go.
course.
There you go. See, it's not just me.
Yeah, as written by author Mark Kane.
And yeah, Marty Kane.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Martina Canis.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I was looking forward to getting back to this. I think my next Star Trek picks, and I'm not going to necessarily pick one straight away after this, is I'm going to start going to the more goofier side of things. I feel like I'm going to avoid the class. There's a few classics, absolute stone cold classics in the original series, but I'm gonna
Yeah.
we'll come back to those. Maybe save them for a 10th or a round number kind of show, 20th or 30th kind of show. I don't know.
Yeah. Um,
But
what
we'll
was I
see.
going to say? I've got on my notes here, like Western cowboy guitar in the background of this episode.
Yeah, weird, right?
Yeah, really strange. Like, I don't think I've heard a Star Trek episode with that. Really took note of it in this episode where I was just like, it's kind of a moody guitar throughout, like the back in the background of all this stuff, like down, 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 like like they're like setting up at the OK Corral kind of thing, which they kind of were because they were about to fight in a duel. But
Yeah. Well, they
uh,
actually do have an episode, don't they? Spectre of the Gun, where it's the OK Corral, and I'm got a
yeah,
feeling there's guitar stuff in that. But
yeah, but it
that's in
was
season
really.
3, right? So
Yeah,
you're
it was
way
really
off of it.
not out of place. It worked in the episode for sure, but it was yeah, it was really noteworthy. I was like, oh, this is kind of different.
To be honest, I didn't notice it. I mean, now you've said it, I remember it, but it didn't like
Yeah,
take me out of the episode in any way. I
it didn't.
wasn't.
Yeah, it didn't take
Yeah.
me out, but I was just I was like, oh, this doesn't sound like old Star Trek to me. But yeah, it was awesome. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, and again, Star Trek always succeed in bringing unbelievably beautiful women on the
Yeah,
show.
which you never
Um,
failed to mention.
yes, just saying. Uh, again, I've read various. I can thoroughly recommend Shatner's. Was it Star Trek Memories? Are really good, but some of Nimoy's ones are okay. But he comes across as a bit weird in some of his. Like he's a bit too obsessed with what's going on. Maybe a bit intense. Whereas Shatner's much more fun, right?
Right.
Shatner talks about the fact that when they get female guest stars in. Uh, the costume department ain't got much money, and they know that very little actually looks better than female bare flesh. So they try and clothe them in as little
Right.
as possible. So it's like, okay, fine.
I see.
Yes, it's a bit like that, right? So yeah, it's good to see Walter Koenig in the show. It was a good addition. Um, uh,
Yeah.
I
Oh
kind of,
yeah.
I've always liked
Legendary.
Chekhov. It didn't necessarily replace anyone, did he? There was no one else on the bridge that suddenly disappeared. The only one who disappeared early on was Yeoman Rand, right? She was in a few episodes early
Oh,
on
that's right.
and
Well,
was
yeah.
intended to be a love interest of Kurt, but they decided to face that. But there was also other issues that I don't really want to get into because they're a bit depressing around all that
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
But she's the only other regular that kind of disappeared. But there are other characters who have non-speaking parts that appear in lots of episodes.
Yeah,
And
one
we
one of
didn't
my
see
favorite
one.
things about the OG series is that the crew continuity is really solid.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
yeah,
like the omission of Sky in this episode is odd.
yeah.
Obviously, it's he wasn't available to shoot for this episode or whatever, but like yeah, it did seem, especially when there was like a handing over of like you'd at least expect to see him when Spock and co transport back up to the ship. You'd at least expect to see him then, because at that time he was in charge of the Enterprise, right? He would have been the commanding
It
officer
would have been the
whilst they were
commanding
down on
officer. Yeah,
Vulcan.
yeah, definitely.
So I thought that was that's the only thing where you're like, I'm pretty sure he would be there for that, but I guess he just wasn't there for filming that day. But
Yeah,
a shame that he's not in the first episode of season 2.
yeah.
But there it is.
Yeah, but
Whatever.
yeah, it might have been because of budget and because Nurse Chapel was significant, and was
Yeah,
probably
maybe the
paid
budget
for
went
that.
into Nurse Chapel.
Maybe,
Yeah,
maybe sometimes it's that with these old shows. It's like if one character suddenly gets a more prominent role, you'll notice another character is just not in that episode. It's just
yeah,
that's the way it is. I guess it's a budget thing, or it might be just holidays. Who knows?
yeah.
Uh,
Holidays, maybe.
could have been. So yeah, great piece of work by Theodore Sturgeon, I have to say. And I was
Quality.
convinced he'd done like 10 or 12. And when I looked and checked, I was like, oh, blimey, he only did 2. Um, I really did like the music, especially the combat music, which
Oh yeah, it's
has
timeless.
been
It's
reused.
forever. Yeah.
Star Trek's always had good musical cues that it just reuses and keeps you in that space when you're watching.
Yeah, and
Um,
it sort of it sets the tone really well as well. Always that the banter moments. It plays a really playful flute very often. Like you say, it adds to the all that whole tonal thing that you get from these 60s shows. I think the music plays a big part of that. Like keeps you in that positive frame of mind, or it kind of tells you how to think in a way sometimes. so you can
Yeah.
kind of switch off and
I
watch
mean,
it.
the best shows they get you in the headspace. The best shows do that with their music, like Twin Peaks, for example. The beginning
Oh
of Twin
yeah,
Peaks totally takes you there, right? And Star Trek's the same. Star Trek's the same, and it's an iconic piece of music, isn't it? And that was a thing with these '60s shows. They just had some great things. The Batman theme tunes. People still know. They might never have seen an episode of that show, right? But
true.
everyone knows the theme, right? And the monkeys.
And the
But
monkeys
it's called the monkeys, so it's kind of yeah.
kind of gives it away. Yeah.
Yeah, that gives it away. So okay, final thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think it's a really solid episode. I think there's loads of great small details which I really enjoyed. I liked the Vulcan stuff. The fight for me was all right. It was kind of like uh
Oh yeah, you kept seeing the stuntman, didn't you?
yeah,
Yeah,
obviously that's classic. And like it's one of those things where, I guess if you asked a non-Star Trek head who would win in a fight between Spock and Kirk, everyone's gonna say, "Oh, well, I guess Kirk's good at fighting," but like you can't overdo the physical nature. Like we talked about it, actually in the Mirror episode,
yeah,
where there's five of them trying to fight Spock in the medical bay,
yeah,
and just showing how much of a physical beast he is compared to a human
yeah.
being.
Vulcans are super strong, aren't
Super strong, super fast, better reflexes. Like they're better in every way. And so it doesn't matter how good Kirk is.
they? No.
You can't beat an alien in hand to hand combat. Uh,
We could have done with a bit of the old Kirk Fu, the flying kick, the mad
yeah.
moves he uses in some of his
But
fights.
again, so yeah, so they kind of get way around that with the like, oh well, the air is thin and it's really hot, so he's struggling, and also Spock is kind of compromised in a
Yeah,
mental state, so
yeah.
he's kind of nerfed. Do you
He's
know what I
gone
mean? They
feral.
tried to,
He's kind of Spock's feral and Kirk's knackered, basically.
yeah, and it's kind of like, yeah, it's a bit of a cop out in terms of like that kind of fight, but it's fine.
Yeah, yeah,
And then yeah, I like all of the character moments are really solid. And like you say, I think it sets up that unit of three really, really well. Um,
yes. I mean that's probably why if I wanted to demonstrate an episode of the strength of the friendship between the three, this would probably be the best one. Though
it's one of them
probably
for sure. Yeah.
City on the Edge of Forever also does the same kind of strength of bonding and trying to sort of help each other and stuff like that. But I think this is superlative of that.
Yeah,
Um,
and if anyone ever asks me why I like the original series, it's always my answer is usually the trio.
yeah,
Um, you put those three guys in any situation, and I'll watch it pretty much.
yeah.
Um,
And then even if you don't include the trio, Scotty as well, man. Scotty's great in stuff.
yeah,
Um,
and everything, and that's the thing. Like, I'll watch anything with those three in it, and then the icing on the cake is the rest of the stuff around the show is also fantastic. So
yeah,
it's just a hit show for those reasons. It hits on all cylinders,
yeah,
especially if you get good writers, a good story. The sets are amazing on those episodes. They're my favorite TOS episodes.
yeah. And it's great
Um,
that they
yeah,
managed to recreate something along those lines, though completely different characters in Next Gen as well, right?
yeah,
We just got certain favorite characters. We like how Worf is always no sense of fun, things like that.
hmm
And
yeah,
the
yeah,
various interactions there. But yeah, and I'm glad they didn't just try and ape the original series. They went with different kind of characters, and that was kind of interesting.
yeah, yeah. I love TNG in a different way. I love TNG in a it's. I've got a lot more nostalgia for TNG. I think that was like the Star
Yeah,
Trek I grew up with, and
yeah. Well, it's a bit
it's
like the
home.
Doctor Who's, right? It's the one you grew up with. He tends to be your favourite, right? So,
Yeah, good memories
it's
watching that with Dad. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I grew up with TOS. I remember absolutely looking forward to it. It was used to be on a Monday night at 6 o'clock on BBC Two, and always looking forward to it. Um, Sometimes couldn't watch it because there was some soap opera on the other side, so it's like, oh, can't watch it. Yeah. So yeah. All right, let's wind up this episode. So to all our listeners, peace and long life.
Live long and prosper.